You know, I don't know about you, and I know some of you probably crossed your mind that you wish you can go back in time as you are now, like I am now, and talk to yourself when you're like 20 or 21. Will it mean anything? Would it help? It might. It might. I don't know. But it'd probably be like talking to a brick wall, to be honest. Hey, I apologize. I was going to go out and do this in the forest on my desk, my chair desk, but it's raining. And plus, I don't want to get wet. So I just figure I'd stay in here. But I want to try to see how this works out. I know like a lot of people like the scenery of the trees and everything. So do I. So let's get back. ADD, remember that. And I also got my notes just in case I get lost in the world of ADD. But let's get back. Let's get back where I was. You wish you can go back and just talk to yourself, not like blah blah blah. Talk to yourself. You go back as yourself now, as your age right now, and go back to talking to yourself when you're like 20, 21, 22. You know, and just say, "Hey, dude, what's up? You know, man, I've been watching you in a non-creepy way. And I just think you need to stop worrying about stuff, man. You worry so much. You worry too much. You worry about things that are out of your control. You're going to give yourself freaking ulcers. You know? Just calm down. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I wish I could do that. I know you can't. It's impossible. No time. There is no time machines. Even though people say there is. Yeah, I saw that once. A time machine. I was like, nah, fake. But just go back and say, hey, dude, relax, chill. Don't worry about everything. You're just one person. It doesn't matter. And like the last vlog, I talked about family. Yes, I would go back and say, "Guy, you didn't. You need to talk to your family, your brothers and your sisters, and your aunts and your uncles, because they are probably your biggest support group. They will probably be there when you need them. Because you're going to find out in the future if you keep on going on the same track you're going on." That gap between your family and you is going to get wider and wider and wider, and you have nobody to blame but yourself. And that's what I do now. I really don't have a relationship with my family, my brothers and sisters, and I regret it. I regret it. I regret it a lot. I mean, the years go by fast. I'm telling you, I remember when I was 20s and to my 30s. It was party. Well, actually, up until I was 26. Party, 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 have a good time. You know, instead of going home from the week for the weekend to see my family, I went out with the friends. You know, I'm not saying every weekend, maybe like every other month or once a month, go there and spend the weekend with them. I mean, I was in Virginia. I was only 6 hours. 5 hours, 4 hours, depending on how fast I drove. Yeah, I think back a lot of things, the mistakes that I made, and I wish I could go back and say, God. I mean, all my kids, I wish one way that I would have my kids, but I didn't never got married until presently. I love my kids to death. Some of them I don't talk to because you get to the point where you're like, I'm done. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm a mature adult, but you get to the point where you're done. I had enough. I can't do this no more. You know what I mean? When you have another parent just say negative things about you all the time, and you just, I'm done. You know, I figured it would end. It would end when they were out of school and off on their own, but I'm done. I love them to death. They're my kids, but I'm done. I'm just talking about two of them. And another thing I would bring up is don't be afraid to try new things, man. Don't be afraid. I mean, at one time when I was in the Navy, my 4 years was coming up, and I wanted to try something different. Now, keep in mind, I was nothing like I am now. Okay, maybe like I was thinking about going in the Marines. I was even one time thinking about going in the Army. Nothing's wrong with the Army. I was just getting tired of the political correctness, and everybody says it's all branches, but I talk to people and say, yeah, it is, but it's not as bad. I mean, I had guys, Army, that worked around me, and they said, how do you put up with this bullshit, man? It's everybody, they want to be, it just seems all fake. And at times in the Navy, it did seem fake. I'm not talking way, way back then. I'm talking about like the 90s. You got to remember, when I first came in '84, there was most of your senior personnel, as far as enlisted senior personnel, were Vietnam vets. And they always had they always ruled by one thing: my people's first. I always defend my people. Now, that was in public. Now, what happened in private, when you were in a room with a senior enlisted, a chief or a senior chief, master chief, you got your ass rained out. They never did it in public. They never did it in public or around a bunch of people. They always did it in private. And then when the new generation was coming along, it was always about them. I met so many chiefs. The only thing I'm worried about is getting my star for a senior chief. Or all I'm worried about is getting my second star. They didn't give a shit about anything. You know? So I do kind of wish I did branch jump, where you go from one service to another, because it's just, like I said, it was just so politically correct, and it was so phony at times, and it was all about them making rank. Even in the officers community, it was all about them making rank. They didn't give a shit about the people. So I kind of regret doing that, not doing that, and enjoy things. I mean, there was times where I've been to West Africa, Gambia, places like that, and we just worked. We never took time out to see what was out there, I regret that. I mean, there was times where as soon as we done work, we knew a place that had pretty decent food. Surprise, surprise. And we go and eat. But that was it. That was it. I mean, I was over in at West Africa when a coup happened. And I think it was Gambia. Well, a coup happened, military coup happened when they overthrew the president, And that was funny. Because you were like, oh, shit. So we jumped in our vehicles and we were taking off, trying to head to a safe spot. And all of a sudden we were coming this way, and the military was coming, their military was coming this way. And I'm like, oh, we're dead. They split and let us come drive down the middle, and they were just saying, I was like, oh, but they're going to shoot when I'm driving. I said, oh, man, they're going to put lead in us. They're going to put lead in us. They waved at us and kept on going. And then when we got towards the end, I guess it was one of the officers, I have no idea. He stopped and he says, he could speak really good. He was educated. He could speak really good English. He says, you guys okay? I said, yes, sir, we're fine. He says, he looked me straight in the eyes and says, our beef is not with you or the United States. So you go ahead, stay safe, and carry on. And we took off, But I just wish I did more. Like, the only time I really enjoyed my duties when I was in Scotland. because it was like a regular job, you know. I worked Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday, doing work there. And the command I worked for was awesome. The command was I was worked for was awesome, and we did a little bit, you know. When I went to Australia, the only place we went to was Sydney. I regret that. I worked in Sydney for a little bit, not long, not a couple. I think it was like 2 weeks or something like that. And I wish I went. Like I told the story where I met a military guy, and he says, "You want to see the real Australia? Get the hell out of Sydney." I wish I did that. I wish, but we did. We worked. I regret doing that. You know, been to Paris. The French, they're rude as hell. I'm sorry, but they're rude. Been to Great Britain, greatest people in the world, man. The Brits, great people, great people, and they're awesome. They're awesome people. I've been to some ex-Soviet bloc countries, great people. You know, I sat down and had a conversation with one ex-military guy. When communism fell, he no longer had a job, and we were trading stories on the propaganda that the United States was putting out about Russia and Russia was putting out about the United States. And I was like, what? Yeah, they were saying the United States wants, every day they have, United States is going to attack Russia and everything like that. It's like, no, man, not that I know of. I said, but the government has secrets, I'm not part of the loop. But they same people, man, same type of people. Only thing they care about is their family, putting food on the table and a roof over their head. They're not the enemy. They're not the enemy. And I learned there that if you hate a country because of their policies or the way they do things, it's not the people, it's the government. I learned that real fast. Like I said, enjoy the journey, man. If you have the opportunity to travel when you're young, go. And I apologize if you hear these kids screaming. I apologize. There's no way out of this. I'm getting ready to close this out. Hopefully it wasn't too long. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm using the OBS. If I could only give my 22-year-old self one piece of advice, just one piece of advice, it would be this. Don't rush through life, man, to get to tomorrow. Just slow down. It's not worth it. Enjoy it. Enjoy your life. And I think that's one of my downfalls. I didn't enjoy life, man. I did not enjoy life. I was miserable sometimes, I got in relationships that I was just so freaking miserable. I know what my problem was. I was looking for love. I know that for a fact. That was during my younger years. I've matured a little bit. But I think that's what it was. I was looking for love. I was trying to find love. And I think that's one of the reasons why in my younger years I was heavy drinking. You know what I mean? I wasn't happy. I always say drug and alcoholics, that's only a symptom. A symptom of what? No, I'm not blaming anybody. I blame myself. Man, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. If you could go back to when you were 20, not go back as yourself right now and go back in time and talk to yourself at 22 years old, what would you say to yourself, to that person? What would you say to him? What would you say? I mean, there's a lot of things, but I just tell myself, man, enjoy your life. Don't worry about what other people think. you know, or do you really want to marry that person? Do you really want to do that? Like I said, I love my kids to death, and I would never replace them. But taking them out of the picture, I would have done things a whole lot differently. A whole lot differently. And I know some people will say, oh, you're sick, you're sad, you're pathetic. You think about that sometimes. I know a lot of guys that went through rotten marriages and they'll say the same thing. I love my kids with all my heart, but I wish I did it a different way. Because remember, it's the male that determines the sex of the child. And I always thought, at least for the past 5, 6 years, I wish I met Miles years ago. And Miles we have talked about it. And she's like, yeah. Because Miles has been, that's her story to tell. But Miles has been through hell. Hell. In a relationship. But she came out the side, not being bitter, not being mean, you know. So I'll go ahead and close this video out. I know, like I said, this is Halloween and everything. But I'm glad you listened. Hopefully you listened, you didn't bail. And if you like this video, or this vlog, or this story, or this POV, whatever you want to call it, and you give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Peace out. I thank you very much. You have a great, great evening and day. To my friends in the Philippines, have a great day.